Today I'm taking a look at an old Moves magazine from 1991, issue number 66. Um, it's called the November Holiday 1991. The cover article is Just Plain War Games. So, that's a bare bones company, I think, is what they were shooting for. And I don't happen to own any of their games, and I've never played one. But there's quite a detailed review um, of this series from Pacific Rim, I think. And at the time, they had 4 games out. So this article provides a little bit of an overview of 4 games. Um, they were Damansk Pocket from the Soviet Union, Germany war in 1941 and 2. Then Sala, which is in Finland in 1941. And then Bastogne, Crossroads of Death, part of the Bulge. And then one called The Last Elephant Offensive, which deals with 1944 Burma, I think. Again, I've never played any of these games, but there's a fairly extensive article. And then there's a second article that is a replay of Bastogne Crossroads by Rick Swan. It's a very detailed replay article. It does have some black and white photos in it, and a lot of specific hex movement that is detailed out. So it's really an old school game. I mean, that's the first 18 pages of this magazine. And then we have an article by John Kisner, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. So it's not Elton John here. This is actually talking about a GMT game, Air Bridge to Victory. It's quite an old game. I've played this, and I hope someday I'll get my playthrough into video format and be able to post it on the channel. But what this article does is kind of gives a little bit of an analysis, looking at how some of the game effects are more game than simulation. It's some of those old arguments. And he talks a little bit about some of the issues with combined arms and how they're portrayed at the operational level, and maybe some potential fixes. And he also has a free deployment option for the game. It's a relatively short article, but if you have that game, Air Bridge to Victory, you might be interested in it. There's another article on page 23 called The Kaiser's Battle. And this is talking about Strategy and Tactics issue number 83. I think it came out around 1980. And this is a World War I game that is looking at part of the March 1918 offensive, German offensive in Western Europe. And it's a fairly detailed analysis article, strategy article of this game, and it goes into some of the things that are being simulated here, but also some of the strategy that you might want to use in the game. It's a fairly long article, quite detailed, and it has some period pictures in it as well. Then there's another article called Hugamo, and this is written by 3 different authors, contributed to this. It's a very long article on Command Magazine number 11's game on Waterloo, but it wasn't really Waterloo. It's just a section of Waterloo dealing with that chateau. And so it's a very tactical game. I think, if I remember correctly, the turns were like 10 minutes each of time is represented. So it talks a little bit about some of the tactics that you might want to use to overcome this chateau if you are playing this game. I've never played this one either. I don't even have Hugamo. Then there's another very deep article on Austerlitz. No, not Austerlitz. Auerstadt. Battle planning in Auerstadt. And this is by Warren Kingsley, and it deals with the Clash of Arms game from La Bataille. And this is a very detailed article talking about how to operate, your armies in this game to produce, the results you want. It does have a few photographs. They're low quality, as you would expect in 1991, but it's a very detailed article on strategy. I don't have this game, but if you play La Bataille, you might find this one interesting. There's also a battle game here on A Day in the Life of a Pilot, Hornet Leader. So if you remember that system, I think that's a solitaire pilot game. And I've never played this one either, but it's a long article that was published here on how to play this game. I think it was put out by GMT, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And then at the end of the magazine, you have a number of scenario and variants. Most of these don't usually interest me too much. However, this one does have an article by Joe Miranda on Trajan from S&T 145, which is part of the Ancient Wars series. So Decision Games produced these in strategy and tactics. It was Trajan, it was the Roman Civil War, Caesar and Gallia, and Germania. So those 4 games cover different sectors of the Roman Empire at a fairly strategic level. So this provides some player notes for the specific game Trajan, and also some errata that came out is included here. But then there is optional rules. There are quite a few, so these magazine games, especially Miranda's games, could be expanded quite a bit when he was allowed to get outside of the magazine format. And one way he did this was by writing additional rules that you could add on optionally. So he has a rule here for signal systems. So this was basically relay stations of communication that could be used by the Romans and the Parthians. So there are some special rules if you want to employ this into the simulation. He has rules for Roman camps. He has a set of rules for battlefield intelligence if you want to try to introduce that. It is a strategic level game, I think, quasi-operational strategic, so it should be an interesting thing to add intelligence into this. There's rules for the Roman legion having missile fire that could enhance them. There is a rule for replacements of bringing new troops in, I think on a yearly turn. I think you have to wait till the next winter turn to bring them in. There are rules for Parthian satrap leaders. He has some optional rules for the Parthian court. And this, I think, affects how many stratagem markers the Parthian player gets. There are special rules for legion capabilities, legate replacement, Roman bureaucracy, a rule for the king of Armenia. Oh, good thing I'm not monetized, but 36, suicide. I guess there's a rule for suicide in this of one of your leaders. I don't know. I think it could be the comparable to a kamikaze attack. I don't really know, but it's in here if we want to add that on. And then attack on the march is another rule. And then finally, the last optional rule is historical cities. So there's rules that cover the historical trade route that would have been depicted, especially in Trajan, which kind of covers the Roman war in the east with Parthia. So that's a little bit of an overview of some of the things that you find in Moves number 66. This is definitely available in the secondhand market. You can probably find it at Noble Knight Games or on eBay. But anyway, thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for other videos around this hobby. Have a great day.